Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi ashrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Sadaqallahu aliyun azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Respected brothers or sisters, whoever may be viewing this. Today, we are going to have a lecture on the topic and around the circumstances of the Eve of Ashoorah. So, our topic today, before we talk about the Eve of Ashoorah, is establishing the good, establishing the good intention, the good aim, the good purpose. Whenever us mu'mineen, mu'minat, believing men or believing women, go to practice a specific thing, go to do a specific action, go to say a specific word, we should align our deeds with a good purpose. We should establish what is good by doing them. So we should establish our affairs with the best. Our aim should be the best of things, not the lowest of things, not the temporal things, not the vanishing things. Because sometimes when we look at human beings, we look at when we look at what their aims are, we find that sometimes their aims are for desire. Their aims are shahwi driven. Shahwa is the kind of inner appetite for food and drink or for sexual appetite. This is called shahwa. Sometimes people act with this kind of shahwa desire. Sometimes people act and they do things for a kind of materialistic gain, a kind of dunya desire of possession, a kind of of possession of a kind of property, a land or something else. Sometimes people aim to do things for their own greed, for their own lust and greed. All of these things are temporal and small and vanishing aims. The low desires, the dunya desires. Should we set our desires when we do things, when we do our actions and our sayings in line with vanishing and temporal desires? No. We should have a higher purpose. Us mu'mineen, mu'minat should have the idea that when we establish an action, when we go to do a thing, that we should do it with what is best. That we should aim towards doing it toward what is best. So we should have a lofty purpose. Our purpose should be to gain the mercy of Allah, the rahmah of Allah, the rida of Allah, the what is literally translated as the pleasure of Allah or contentment of Allah. It means to get the kind of mercy of Allah, the reward of Allah, things like this. So in the mercy of Allah, we have many different things. The thawab, the reward, the paradise is in there. We have the ma'rifah of Allah, the knowing Allah. So our aim should be like this. Our aim should be with the lofty purpose in sight. We should be doing things to get the mercy of Allah. And the highest mercy is to know Allah. So we should, as mu'minin, mu'minat, do things establishing the good, the best. That is, establishing things online and in direction toward the lofty purpose of human creation. So we should do good deeds. We should do good deeds to people, to believers and other people. We should be good people, good akhlaqi people, good moral people. We should also make sure that our deeds and our sayings are religiously correct. What do I mean? Like it's haram to touch the skin of a non-mahram generally. A person cannot feel like they just want to be nice, so they go and break a religious ruling. No. We have to be doing the best, and we have to be in line with the religious direction. In fact, doing the best and doing the good is in line with that religious direction. It won't conflict the religious directions and the religious permission. So we have to make sure that our actions are religiously correct and our deeds are towards the lofty purpose, towards the good, towards establishing what is good. So over here, we could establish a kind of quality in our souls that's called taqwa. Now, taqwa is a kind of self-restraint that helps us easily to obey Allah the Exalted. So taqwa is a kind of self-restraint with God consciousness, with God awareness. Raghib Isfahani, in his book Mufradat, he says that this word taqwa comes from the root letters of waqaya, which means to protect a thing from what harms it. So the word taqwa is making the self, the nafs, in waqiya. So this waqiya is protecting a thing from what harms it. Taqwa is to make the self, the nafs, in waqiya from what it is fearing. So taqwa is the quality of those who protect themselves from all the sins and transgressions, from doing the wrong things and doing the sinful things. So taqwa is that kind of quality in the soul that protects ourselves from doing sins and wrong things. It is God consciousness in it, though. It has God consciousness. We are aware that we are doing this with a sense of God awareness, with a sense of ma'arifah of Allah. Hence, a person has this kind of self-restraint or safeguarding against what is opposed to Allah the Exalted. Such a person we call muttaqi, the pious person, the muttaqi person, a person who has taqwa. Such a person, they avoid the forbidden things, the haram things. That are haram, they are the things which Allah has told us not to do, and avoiding them is obligatory. And if we do them, there's a threat of punishment. And they make such a muttaqi person, they make full efforts to perform their wajibat, their obligations that Allah has commanded. Wajib, technically, is a thing that Allah has commanded us to do, that's obligatory for us to do. And if we don't do it, there is a threat of punishment from Allah for not doing it. Like doing our daily prayers, like fasting in the month of Ramadan, except for the exceptions, the woman who is ha'if. So, things like this. beautiful aspect of Islam is that the rules are really really flexible to real life situations. Okay, so the muttaqi person, they stay away from haram, they do their wajib. Such a person's aim is the obedience to Allah the Exalted, not disobedient. We don't call a disobedient person muttaqi. To be, this person is submissive to Allah. They submitted. This is Islam, means submission. It means submission to Allah. Submission to Allah's will and command. Some have defined it as. So this person is living Islam in their inner state. They're submitting to Allah. They're not submitting to evil and corruption and sins and low temporal forbidden desires. That is a muttaqi person. We can observe this word muttaqi mentioned in the Holy Quran, in this noble ayat of the Holy Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. فَلَمَّنْ أَوْفَى بِأَهْدِهِ وَاتَّقَى فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَّقِينَ. A transinterpretation of this noble ayat. I say transinterpretation because the bringing the Arabic language into English is a very it's like trying to fit an ocean into a pond or a lake, as somebody once alluded to me. So I think the best way to understand Quran is to first understand the Arabic of it, understand the depth of it, and understand its some of the things connected to understanding Quran. So when they bring it into English, it's kind of just giving a kind of interpretation of the language. So someone's interpretation may influence the English text. So this noble ayat, Bala man awfa bi ahdihi wattaka fa inna Allah yuhibbu al muttaqin. Its transinterpretation is, yeah, whoever fulfills his promise and guards, then surely Allah loves. Yuhibbu al muttaqin. Allah loves the muttaqin, those people who have taqwa. So it becomes very important, respected brothers and sisters, that we are muttaqi people, that when we go do a specific thing, that when we go do a specific action, that we are thinking like muttaqi people, that we are thinking like people who have taqwa, that our aim and our direction is like those who have taqwa. We find in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alladhi khalaqa al-mauta wa al-hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amalan wa huwa al-azizul ghafur. Wa huwa al-azizul ghafur. Wa huwa al-azizul ghafur. This, he who created life, death and life. Alladhi khalaqa al-mauta wal-hayata. Why create life and why create death and life? Liyabluwakum, to test you all. Amalu ayyukum ahsanu amalan, to see which of you is best in deeds. Wa huwa al-azizul ghafur, and he is the Almighty, the one who covers the sins, the forgiving. So Allah the Exalted, He has created us with a high purpose. He is wise. He doesn't do anything without purpose. Our purpose in life is to get the mercy of Allah, And the highest mercy is to know Allah. To be able to do that, we have to do things. We have to succeed in the test. Ayyukum asanu amalan. We have to do what is best. So we have to establish what is best. Worship of Allah is the best thing, one of the best things that we could do as well. So this is all in line with obtaining the mercy of Allah. So when we go to do a specific thing, we should do it with the right aim and the right intention. We should do it for establishing, we should do things establishing the best. And that best should be in line with the mercy of Allah, doing what Allah wants from us, doing what we are expected to do, doing the best of deeds. So this brings us to the next topic that we could talk about tonight. It's sometimes we see amongst our fellow Shias, we see that we are divided. One group says that this ritual, this thing must be done. One group says it doesn't need to be done. Another group says it can't be done. One is divided on this fatwa. One is divided on that fatwa. One is divided on this theological issue. One is divided on that theological issue. Us Shias were divided. Why are we divided? Because there's different understandings out there. Not everyone's correct, but there's different understandings. Sometimes some people may have reached certain aspects to the truth that we didn't. Sometimes people may have reached different levels to the reality, but not everybody reached the whole thing. So there's differences of views amongst experts on some issues. So us Shia, the common people, they get divided. They don't understand what the scholars and experts are dealing with. So like Marjia issues. Take, for instance, one that we are applying right now. We are giving a lecture right now stated on the Eve of Ashoorah. The reason for that is because there's scholarly different opinion about when the new month begins. Some ulama, they say that the new month is either locally sighted with the naked eye or certain that it's locally sighted with the naked eye, or it could be sighted with the optical aid as long as it's locally. Some others will say that it's as soon as it's appeared anywhere in the world, it occurs for everywhere that shares a night or for the whole world. So this sets back a day when it occurs. Sometimes both fall on the same day. Sometimes they're about a day off on the beginning of the month. The issue is related to how these experts are understanding the text and how they are working with understanding when the actual moon occurs, when the actual occurrence is for our area. So the way the expert looks at it and what he determines from looking at the hadith, the religious resources, then he reaches an opinion. He studies all different aspects that a scholar studies in the Batha level, in the research level, and he comes to the conclusion that either it's local sighting with the naked eye, or it's all night, or some other opinion. He's built it on his understanding. He's become sure enough to say that what he has understood from the text, from what we have in the resources, is enough to say this view. Now, not every view may be correct. Different views, one of them has to be correct. We don't believe everybody's right. We don't believe every single fatwa out there is right. One of them is either right or wrong. Sure, maybe they share some aspects that could be considered, but one is either right or wrong. So we don't say everybody's right, but this area of what is right and wrong is for an academic area to either disprove or prove. For those researchers, those able to do it, those able to look at it, those able to reach a proper conclusion. The the common people, they are they are what we term as laymen. The layman's responsibility is to follow a qualified expert. So he does so. He goes and he finds a qualified expert and he follows and does taqlid to him. That qualified expert has looked at the resources and has reached this view. Okay. So the common person's responsibility is to at least follow the qualified expert. Now, if that individual, they reach some higher level understanding about it through research and he's able to do it, that's something different. So at this level, that's his responsibility. So now you have different groups of people who are following experts who find different conclusions. These groups of people shouldn't be divided. They shouldn't be at each other. They shouldn't have animosity with each other. They should have unity. Yes, not everybody's correct, but at the level of common people, they are doing their responsibility. They are following an expert. So we have to have a Shia to Shia unity. We have to have a unity that keeps us together in this understanding and a respect for the system of the Marjia who do this expert research. We shouldn't be fighting over issues between fatwas. We shouldn't be fighting on if Sayyid Al-Kui says it's not wajib to say a second surah in the first two rakats, and Sayyid Sistani says it's obligatory precaution. We shouldn't be fighting over such things. We shouldn't be divided over such things. We should be intellectual and understand that the responsibility of people is that they are following the experts, or they have knowledge about it and insight, and they're able to. So you have to have unity with all these things. Sure, not everybody is right, but we have to have unity. So we should respect the common ground. Common ground here is that we have all, we're following what takes us to the experts who we trust would be finding the view in the text. That's a common ground, doing taqlid. Or respect for the religious resources and the academic affairs. That is a common ground. So we have to have a common ground and a unity on it. As well with other religions, you've got to have a common ground. We have to build a common ground between people. We have to be either on the ground of humanity or on ethical values, like between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, stealing is forbidden. We have to look at religious commonalities, and we build some common ground. Yes, we're not going to agree on everything. We don't believe that everybody is right in everything. We believe there's one reality of the truth out there, and we are seeking it, and we rely on an expert to give it. But we could relate and come to some common ground amongst people on different aspects of human thought and religious thought and religious belief and ethical values and intellectual directions and on the level of humanity. So having this kind of unity will cause for the function of our communities and societies in a proper manner. People will have mutual respect. People will have mutual care for each other. People will move mutually towards a bright direction. while keeping our own identities, while not losing our Shia identities. Very important. So, with that said, we have to seek knowledge. We have to find truth. We have to rely on what brings us to truth. We have to stand on the side of haqq. We have to stand on the side of truth. And we have to be knowing of it. We should be academics. We should be thinkers. We should be learners. Even if it's only a half hour a week, an hour a day, whatever. We should be consistent and continuous, and we should be seeking that enlightenment from Allah and the increase in knowledge and understanding. So we must seek knowledge. We must seek understanding. We must ask questions. We must study. We must see different thoughts amongst religious scholars, amongst the ulama. And then we have to stand with the truth. We have to stand with haqq. And this is what you see with the caravan of lovers. We see when it comes to Imam Hussein that not only was Imam Hussein standing with the truth, not only did Imam Hussein stand with haqq, but his companions were those who stood with truth and justice. It is narrated that in the book of history, and Abdul Maknaf narrates that Al Hussein alayhi salam, on the eve of Ashoorah, he gathered his companions after Umar ibn Saud went back. And this was just before sunset. It's almost in about less than 2 hours, it'll be sunsetting. So this narration, Abdul Maknaf says, is from his chain to Ali ibn Hussein alayhi salam. So he says, I went near to him. I went near to hear him. I was sick. I heard my father say to his companions, and let us look. I praise Allah, the blessed, the exalted, with the best of praises. I praise him in ease and difficulty. O Allah, I praise you for honoring us with the prophethood, nubuwah, teaching us the Quran, and making us comprehend your religion. You gave us hearing, sight, and the hearts. And you did not make us among the polytheists. Look at how Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in this historical account, he talks to Allah. He praises Allah with the best of praises. He thanks Allah for honoring them with the nubuwah. Prophet Muhammad was sent amongst them. Teaching the Quran, the Kitab of Allah. Making us comprehend the religion. And not only that, but gave us mahsusat. And gave us qalb. Gave us hearing and sight and heart. And did not make us among the idolaters. Okay. So now Imam Hussein alayhi salam continues on the eve of Ashoorah. I know of no companions more loyal and more virtuous than my companions. nor of any household more righteous than and more close knit than my household. This is a transinterpretation. May Allah reward you all the best of rewards on my behalf. Now, indeed, I think tomorrow is the day of ours with these enemies. I deem appropriate that you should all freely leave. Imam Hussein takes the any obligation they may feel off their shoulders and tells them, you may freely leave. I have exempted you. He says to his companions, you may go, leave. I have exempted you of your obligations toward me. So take it as a mount. It's like a riding animal. Let each one of you. And look at the compassion of Imam Hussein. Even in this, he's telling him, go, go, go. I free you away from me. You could go freely. But not only that, look at the compassion. Let each one of you hold the hand of one of my family members and scattered to your residences and cities so that Allah may deliver you. For these people are after me only. And if they get a hold of me, they will not be concerned about the rest. Look at the courage and the putting himself there. Imam Hussein has the compassion. Go, take my family members. Go, I relieve you. They only want me. If they get me, they won't want you. At this point, Abbas ibn Ali, alayhi salam, was the first to talk. He said to him, why should we do that? Just in order to remain alive after you? May Allah never show us that. Then his brothers and sons, and the sons of his brother, Imam Hassan, and the two sons of Abdullah ibn Ja'far, all spoke similarly. Al-Hussein then said, O sons of Aqil, the martyrdom of Muslim is a sacrifice sufficient on your part. Go as I permit you. What did they say to Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the Eve of Ashoorah? They said, what will the people say? They will say that we have deserted our master, our leader, and the sons of our uncles, who was the best of the uncles, that we did not shoot an arrow alongside them, nor did we stab with the spears and strike with the swords with them, nor did we know what they did. Nay, by Allah, we will never do. Rather, we will ransom you with our lives, our wealth, and our children, and we will fight by your side until we enter the place you shall enter. May Allah make life disliked after you. Then this is the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Look at their stance. They're standing with haqq, with truth. Muslim ibn Awsaja al-Asadi, he stood up and he said, if we leave you alone, what excuse would we give to Allah for not fulfilling your rights? Look, Muslim ibn Awsaja, he's got that high aim in mind. He has that lofty purpose. What excuse will we give to Allah for not fulfilling your rights, O Hussein? By Allah, till I break my spear in their chest, I will strike them with my sword as long as its hilt remains in my hand. I will not leave you. If I have no weapon to fight them with, I will throw stones at them in your defense until I die with you. Look at their aim. Look at their movement. Yet many of us, we don't leave a simple, tiny sin. We don't leave a simple, tiny desire. These men were giving their lives with the aim lofty. Sa'id ibn Abdullah al-Hanafi then stood up. He said, by Allah, we will not leave you until Allah knows that we have preserved through you the Prophet of Allah sallallahu in his absence. By Allah, if I knew that I would be killed and then revived and then be burnt alive and then scattered and that would be done to me 70 times, I will not leave you until I meet my death on your behalf. Why should I not do so when it is only getting killed once? Then it is an everlasting honor. Zuhair ibn Cain, he then stood up. By Allah, I wish I would be killed and then revived and again be killed until I get killed like this 1,000 times, so that Allah should avert death from you and from these youth of your household. A group of his companions then said, by Allah, we will not part with you. May our souls be sacrificed for you. We will protect you with our throats and foreheads and hands. And if we get killed, then we would have fulfilled and performed what lies upon us. So the companions of Imam Hussein, they were the Shia of Ali. They were the Shia of Hassan. They were the Shia of Hussein. They were willing to be cut to pieces, revived, cut to pieces, and revived 1,000 times. Look at the love that they had. Yet we people, we stop at a short temporal joy, a short temporal sin, and we forget all about even eternity. والآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.